Big cities, bright lights, and underneath it all, a hidden world of daring heists and unbelievable scores. We're diving into the stories of the most audacious robberies, the ones that made headlines and left everyone wondering, how did they pull it off? These aren't just stories about stolen fortunes, they're about meticulous planning, unbelievable coincidences, and the men who dared to challenge the system. Get ready for a journey into the heart of criminal masterminds, where the stakes are high and the line between right and wrong gets very blurry. We'll be looking at two heists in particular, separated by time but connected by the sheer audacity of their crimes. Get ready to break down the details, the players, and the aftermath of these incredible events. Our first stop takes us to the heart of London's Diamond District, Hatton Garden. It's 2015, and a group of seasoned criminals, some well into their retirement years, are about to pull off the unthinkable. Then, we'll rewind the clock back to 1950s America. The location, Boston. The crime, the Great Brink's robbery, a meticulously planned operation that saw millions vanish into thin air. These two stories capture the imagination, a band of aging criminals taking on a high-security vault and a group of professional thieves who almost got away with it all. We'll break down the details, the methods, and the aftermath of both of these incredible heists. Get ready to explore the minds of the masterminds, the dedication of the investigators, and the enduring mystery of the loot that was never found. Picture this, London's Hatton Garden, a hub of sparkle, wealth, and high-security vaults. You wouldn't expect a group of pensioners to be casing the joint, but that's exactly who we're dealing with. Meet the bad grandpas, a group of seasoned criminals, their average age pushing 70. These weren't your typical career criminals. They were husbands, granddads, and local characters. But beneath the ordinary exteriors, they were about to pull off an extraordinary crime.
There was Brian Reeder, the oldest of the bunch, a man who knew the criminal underworld like the back of his hand. Terry Perkins, the brains behind the operation, known for his meticulous planning. And then there was Danny Jones, the eccentric one with a penchant for rambling and a habit of burying his loot. Together, this unlikely crew was about to make history, proving that age is just a number when it comes to pulling off a daring heist.
Easter weekend 2015. While Londoners were enjoying their holidays, the bad grandpas were hard at work. Their target, the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company, a vault holding millions in valuables. Their plan was as audacious as it was simple. Using their combined knowledge of alarms, safes, and surveillance, they would gain access to the building, disable the security systems, and then drill. The drilling itself was a feat of patience and engineering. Over several nights, they bored through the thick concrete walls of the vault, inch by painstaking inch. The noise was deafening, but somehow they went undetected. The audacity of the Hatton Garden heist left everyone wondering, how did they get away with it? Was it an inside job? Were the security systems that lax? Or was it just a series of lucky breaks? To this day, questions remain. Some speculate that the gang had inside information, perhaps from a disgruntled employee or a security lapse. Others believe it was pure cunning and a bit of luck that allowed them to exploit weaknesses in the system. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear, the bad grandpas outsmarted everyone. Outsmarted. Days later, when the staff returned from the long weekend, they were met with a scene of chaos. The vault had been breached, safe deposit boxes emptied, and millions in valuables vanished. The news of the Hatton Garden heist sent shockwaves through London and beyond. It was a story that had it all: daring criminals, a seemingly impenetrable vault, and a staggering amount of stolen goods. Despite a swift police investigation, much of the loot remains unrecovered. Some believe it's stashed away, hidden in secret locations, waiting for the right time to resurface. The Hatton Garden heist serves as a reminder that even in the age of high-tech security, no vault is truly impenetrable, and sometimes the most unlikely criminals are capable of pulling off the most audacious crimes. The discovery of the Hatton Garden heist sent shockwaves through the city. London's police force faced immense pressure to crack the case, to bring the perpetrators of this audacious crime to justice. Detectives descended upon Hatton Garden, combing through the scene for any shred of evidence. The vault, once a symbol of impenetrable security, now stood as a testament to the meticulous planning of the bad grandpas. But the gang had made one crucial mistake. Section 2 Forensics, the silent witness.
While the bad grandpas may have been masters of their craft, they hadn't accounted for the advancements in forensic technology.
The evidence they'd left behind, however scant, would prove to be their undoing.
Fingerprint experts meticulously dusted every surface, lifting prints from tools, doors, even the vault itself.
DNA samples extracted from discarded cigarette butts and traces of saliva were run through databases, slowly building a profile of the perpetrators.
And then there were the CCTV cameras.
The gang had disabled some, but others, unbeknownst to them, had captured their every move.
Grainy images showed masked figures entering and exiting the building, their movements betraying their experience and confidence.
Section 3 Justice, but at what cost?
As the investigation progressed, the net began to close in on the bad grandpas.
One by one they were apprehended, their days of freedom coming to an end.
Brian Reeder, the elder statesman of the group, was arrested at his suburban home.
Terry Perkins, the mastermind, was caught after a dramatic police chase.
And Danny Jones, the eccentric one, was found hiding out in a caravan park.
Their trial was a media sensation, captivating the public with its blend of audacity and old-age cunning.
The evidence against them was overwhelming, and the jury delivered guilty verdicts.
Section 1, Boston's Brazen Heist.
Now let's rewind.
Back to a time when America was booming, but the underworld was thriving too.
It's 1950, and the city of Boston is about to become synonymous with one of the most audacious robberies in history. The Great Brink's Robbery.
Imagine the scene, a cold January evening, the streets slick with rain.
The Brink's armored car depot, a fortress of security, stands silent, guarding millions in cash and valuables.
But tonight, that security is about to be breached.
A group of 11 men, their faces hidden, move with military precision.
They've spent months casing the joint, studying routines and planning every detail of their operation.
They're about to take on the might of Brink's, and they're not leaving without a fight, or at least, that's what you'd think.
This wasn't a random act of opportunity. The Great Brink's Robbery was the brainchild of Tony Pino, a small-time crook with big ambitions. He'd assembled a crew, each with their own specialty, each loyal to the plan, and most important, each loyal to the code of silence. There was Specs O'Keefe, the safecracker, his nimble fingers able to manipulate the most complex mechanisms. Joe McGinnis, the getaway driver, could handle any car, any chase with nerves of steel. And then there was Sonny, the muscle, always ready to enforce the rules, always ready for trouble. Their plan was audacious, relying on timing, inside information, and a healthy dose of luck. But they were confident. They'd studied every angle, every camera angle, every possible escape route. The night of January 17th, 1950, the gang put their plan into action. Dressed in identical uniforms, they blended into the night, their movements practiced, their faces hidden behind masks. They bypassed alarms, picked locks, and disabled security systems, moving like phantoms through the depot. Within minutes, they were inside the vault, staring at a fortune in cash, bonds, and jewelry. And here's the kicker. They did it all without firing a single shot. No violence, no hostages, just pure, calculated efficiency. It was a robbery executed with such precision, such audacity, it would become the stuff of legend. The following morning, the news hit Boston like a bombshell. Brink's, the seemingly impenetrable fortress of security, had been breached. Millions were gone. Panic ensued. The city held its breath, wondering who could have pulled off such a daring heist. The police, the FBI, everyone was under immense pressure to crack the case, but the robbers, they'd vanished. They'd melted back into the city, their identities unknown, their loot hidden. The Great Brink's Robbery wasn't just a crime, it was a mystery, and it would captivate the nation for years to come.
The Great Brink's robbery wasn't just a local news story, it was a national embarrassment.
The FBI, with its reputation on the line, threw everything they had at the case. Agents swarmed Boston, chasing down leads, interrogating informants, and shaking down every low-level crook in town.
Pressure mounted with each passing day. The newspapers were relentless, the public demanded answers, and the G-men, they were running out of time.
The investigation took them down dark alleys into smoky backrooms and face-to-face with some of the most dangerous criminals in America. But the robbers, the ones they called the 11, they'd vanished without a trace. Section 2, cracks in the code, 6 years. That's how long the 11 managed to stay one step ahead of the law. 6 years of living on borrowed time, their secret eating away at them like a disease. The pressure began to tell. Paranoia set in. Trust eroded. These men, once bound by a code of silence, now looked at each other with suspicion. One by one, they cracked. Some couldn't handle the pressure, the constant fear of arrest. Others, they got greedy, their loyalty tested by the weight of the hidden loot. Section 3, justice delayed but not denied. The break in the case came from an unlikely source, one of their own. Specs O'Keefe, the safecracker, the man with the magic touch, he decided to make a deal.
Facing a lengthy prison sentence on an unrelated charge, Specs cut a deal with the FBI. He would give them what they wanted, the names, the details, the location of the loot, in exchange for a reduced sentence.
The dominoes started to fall. With Specs' confession, the FBI had the ammunition they needed. Arrest warrants were issued. The remaining members of the 11 found themselves surrounded, their days of freedom over. Section 4, the missing millions. The trial was a media circus. The public, captivated by the story, packed the courtroom, eager to see the faces of the men who had pulled off the impossible. Verdicts were handed down, sentences were served. Justice, it seemed, had been served, but a crucial piece of the puzzle remained missing: the money. The FBI recovered a fraction of the loot, but millions remained unaccounted for. Rumors swirled about hidden stashes, secret bank accounts, and fortunes buried in concrete. To this day, the bulk of the Brink's money has never been found. Section 1, the allure of the heist. From the cobbled streets of London's Hatton Garden to the rain-slicked alleys of 1950s Boston, these two heists, separated by time and circumstance, still hold us captive in their intricate webs. The bad grandpas, with their audacity and old-school methods, proved that even in the age of high-tech security, experience and cunning can still crack the vault. The 11, with their military precision and code of silence, almost pulled off the perfect crime, leaving a city on edge and the FBI scrambling for answers. What is it about these stories that continues to intrigue us? Is it the thrill of the impossible, the meticulous planning, the moment when security systems are rendered useless by human ingenuity? Or is it the characters themselves, the unlikely masterminds who dared to challenge the system, who looked at a fortress and saw a way in? The Hatton Garden and Great Brink's robberies weren't just about stolen millions, they were about human ambition, the allure of easy money and the seductive power of a well-executed plan. They remind us that behind every vault door, every security camera, every seemingly impenetrable system, there's always a vulnerability, a way in if you know where to look. These heists and the stories surrounding them serve as cautionary tales, reminding us that no system is foolproof, no vault impenetrable, and sometimes the greatest threat comes from the most unexpected places. They are tales of daring and deceit, of justice served and fortunes lost, tales that continue to echo through the corridors of criminal history, leaving us to ponder the mysteries they left behind.